Here we are, one of the original bark huts. Brings back lots of memories. As a child, I lived in one of these. It's important, not only here, but everywhere, to keep your heritage. Preserve what you can, and these are just amazing buildings. They really do need preserving so people can see, particularly the younger generation, can see what it was like for the elderly migrants that came here.
The significant history of this site is that it is much longer living than Bonegilla, that people often stayed here for longer periods of time. Their children were born here, their children went to school here, quite significant. And the type of person that came to this site is very different to Bonegilla. We know this by the research that's been unearthed recently, that many of them were women and children, unescorted by a male partner or a male figure. They were often victims of war, significant things that happened, and this was their safe place. Not Bonegilla, but this place, this town, this location.
When I first heard about the Benalla Migrant Camp, I must admit I thought it was a mistake. I thought someone must have been referring to Bonegilla. I'd never heard of it, and that's despite being a reporter in Victoria for 30 years. And I was confused. Where could this camp be, and why haven't I heard of it before? And it turned into astonishment to think that 60,000 people went through this migrant camp, some of them living here for more than a decade, is an extraordinary piece of Victorian history.
I believe that this history that's here in these huts should be protected, because the ancestors of some of the people that were in this camp, when they look and want to find out their own history, how could they not want to come here? How could they not want to have their photo out the front of a hut that their mum and dad come from, or their auntie or someone, you know? So I have a strong understanding of how those people feel and the importance that they need to be able to have that. They need to be able to reconnect and put the jigsaw together.
With the documented historic evidence, I think it's a compelling case, and I think it really would be a tragedy if it wasn't given due consideration for what it should be. Not what it is, what it should be. Just because it's not a fancy Victorian building doesn't mean it isn't important to the history of the state.
How can you deny the room if you're sitting in it and you're looking at Poppy's picture beside the hut that you're sitting in? Or how dare people take that away from people? How dare you take some of my history away from my family and my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren?
To come here and visit the migrant camp, there's a sense of sadness really, because you can tell that it's starting to deteriorate, and as a country where our white settlement is a history of migrants, be it my background, which was free settlers, be it convicts, or be it people who came here looking for a new life after the Second World War, it's central to who we are as Australians.
People have come back more than once just to have another look, and the drawing power of this small museum is absolutely incredible. We would get as many people through here as they do in much larger museums because of the fact that so many migrants started their life in Australia here in Benalla.
We must have hundreds of thousands of people who have a history that goes back to here, and it has to be preserved. And I can't fathom how there's a lack of intellectual rigour to grasp that sort of concept, that it has to be done now before the history dies and we can't ever go back to find it.